Hi everybody, welcome to Ecodriver. My name is Helmut, and today we go on to our fuel consumption test with the Nissan Qashqai 1.3 DIGT mild hybrid. We have here a 4-cylinder 1.3 liter engine with 116 kilowatts, 158 horsepower. The unladen weight of the vehicle is 1,494 kilograms, 3,287 pounds. And the WLTP consumption is 6.2 liters per 100 kilometers, 38 mpg. On Spread Monitor DE, which is a good source to find out what the consumption of the real users, or the real users' consumption of this car is between 6.8 and 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. That's between 34.5 and 22.3 mpg. The average is 7.64 liters per 100 kilometers. It's 30.8 mpg. We have here a CVT transmission, and I try to keep the revs as low as possible, hopefully most of the time below 2000. But we have a rather small engine, so therefore let's see how it works, whether we have sufficient power from the small engine. We do our normal Ecodriver loop, and I show you here where we are going. We start on the edge of town. We then have an uphill section, 6 kilometers, 4 miles, that elevates us around 360 meters, 1100 feet. Followed by some rolling hills, a descent which brings us back to the starting level, and that gives us already a good indication of where we will end up with the consumption, followed by the open road section, 19 kilometers, 12 miles, motorway, 17 kilometers, 11 miles, and 17 kilometers, 11 miles of city traffic. Unfortunately, the weather isn't very nice today. It's rather, well, it's very cloudy, and temperature is -1 degrees Celsius at the moment, 31 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, you won't see much of the nice scenery, but yeah, that's life. And I will talk to you after every section where we have a look at the overall and sectoral consumption. And at the end of the trip, we analyze the whole thing. And I keep the cameras on all the time for you to see that there's no need to drive extra slowly or ultra carefully in order to get a good consumption out of the vehicle. On the contrary, and I hope you enjoy this trip, the scenery, and I'll talk to you later. We're reaching the end of the hill climb, and here we see 11.7 liters per 100 kilometers. We're now approaching the hilly section, and when you've seen my videos, you know what I'm saying now. Play with the road. The constant up and down of the road allows you to build up some momentum on the way down, and if it's going up, then there's no need to accelerate or keep the speed at all costs, because it just consumes a lot of energy. You can do that when it flattens or when it's going down again, and so you save a lot of energy, just like on a roller coaster. Once you're on the highest point and the cars are released, everything goes without any additional energy. The only forces that move the cars are gravity and kinetic energy. At the end of the hills, we see 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Unfortunately, we have the bus in front of us, so we cannot go as efficiently and as smoothly as we normally would do. But hey, that's life. On the descent, I always try to use the injection cutoff as much as possible, not to use the accelerator, just do everything with momentum, kinetic energy, gravity. We have 2 flat sections which I try to pass without any use of the accelerator, just with momentum having built up beforehand. But it depends on other traffic whether we can do this, and also on how strong the engine brake works. If it works very strong, then it might be necessary that we have actively to use the accelerator. But we have pedals here. That means I can set the force of the engine, and that might help us to be very efficient on the way down. So we're coming to the end of the descent. You see here 6.2 liters per 100 kilometers. And as feared, we had a tractor in front of us. We had another car whose driver obviously didn't really understand the laws of physics, and then did the truck. But hey, that's the real life test, and that's what we have to cope with. 6.2 liters per 100 kilometers is bang on the WLTP consumption, but we have to keep in mind this is the number from the board computer. The real figures when you fill the car up with gas is a little bit different. But on SpritMonitor.de I checked it out, and the difference is between 0.1 and 0.2 liters per 100 kilometers between the real consumption and the board computer. So it's acceptably accurate, if I might say so. We're coming to the end of the open road, and we see here 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers. On the motorway we are restricted to 100 kilometers an hour. It's only for electric vehicles that they could go 130, but for environmental reasons the local governments can lower the limits, and that's what they have done here. At the end of the motorway we have 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Traffic on the motorway was very quiet today. You could have even go 130 almost all the time with an electric vehicle, but that's really rare on this section of the motorway. We're now coming to the city section of our consumption test, and here it's important to trying to keep the vehicle in motion, avoid braking and therefore re-accelerating, trying to avoid destroying the energy that you have built up before by braking. So look ahead, read the road, try to anticipate what other road users might be doing, and therefore try to keep the vehicle in motion. You see here approaching the traffic light in a rather moderate speed, expecting it to turn green soon, which it does, and we can keep our momentum. We don't have to brake, we don't have to re-accelerate. What's good with this vehicle, and to be honest, I'm a bit surprised by that, is that it keeps the revs really low. Normal driving in the city is just around 13, 14, 1500 RPMs, and considering the fact that we have a rather small engine here, 1.3 liters, 4-cylinder, that's a bit of a surprise. And before you say low revs are bad for the engine, no, they're not. If they were bad, then the gearbox wouldn't allow the revs to be that low. Gearboxes are set to protect the engine, and if it would be bad for the engine, then it wouldn't be possible. So therefore it's no problem. You can go down to 1200-1300 and it's obviously not a problem for this engine. You see here I'm accelerating 1400. The traffic light ahead of us is green. I don't think, it's just turning red, so therefore doesn't make sense to continue to accelerate. So let's save some energy and coast towards the traffic light. So we're coming to the end of our real-life consumption test with the Nissan Qashqai, and as I said before, if you look at the engine revs, barely above 1500 RPMs in city traffic, and that's really good, and I'm positively surprised by that. And if you look at the board computer, it says 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers. And now let's have a look at the details. Well, now let's have a look at the details of our trip with the Nissan Qashqai 1.3 mild hybrid on our Ecodriver loop. You'll see here the sectoral and overall consumption. 5.6, yeah, that's not too bad. And if we compare this with the other cars we have tested so far on this loop, here you see the Mazda, Ford Puma, Volvo CX-40, Subaru Outback, Ford Focus, and now the Qashqai. And you see 5.6, similar vehicle would be the Volvo XC40. Similar engine, even a little bit less power, 8-speed gearbox, 5.7. So they're all around in the same ballpark. I have to say I was rather surprised by how powerful the engine feels despite the small size. Very good torque from low revs. You see in city traffic, the engine revs were barely going above 1600, and this shows that the engine is very well designed to be used in with a CVT gearbox as a mild hybrid, where with the first couple of meters when you accelerate from a standstill, from a traffic light or whatever, then the small starter generator motor helps a little bit to accelerate the car, and that's not much, but it helps just to give a little bit of kick, and that helps keeping the revs down. The thing with CVT gearboxes is you need to adapt yourself to the CVT gearbox. If you're used to accelerate full throttle from a standstill, then a vehicle with a CVT gearbox is not for you, because it's going to be very loud, and you don't get the acceleration you want, and the gearbox isn't lasting as long. What a CVT gearbox doesn't like is a drastic change of revs. I don't say that it's not very reliable, but I say it requires a certain adaptation of driving style, and just relax your right foot, cruise the vehicle, accelerate gently, and it will pay back, and the drivetrain will be good to you. And as I said, you need to adapt your behavior towards the engine and towards the drivetrain. If you're a businessman going up and down the highway 40,000 miles a year, then this is probably not the car for you. But for everybody else, I think it can be a very good car and a very good drivetrain. Talking about driving gently and efficiently with ICE cars, I'll put the link to this video here where I gave you 5 tips to achieve a good consumption. And if you generally like what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe to this channel, and if you hit the notification bell, you won't miss any new video. That's it for the Qashqai. Thanks for watching, take care, see you next time.